Welcome back to the Matthew24 channel. Well, this video will be a little bit different than anything I have experienced before since I started this channel, as I recorded the audio portion of this video on Friday, January 2nd, and it was in the process of putting together the video portion of this production on Saturday. And as I woke up this morning, I woke up to the news that the United States had bombed Venezuela overnight and had actually captured Venezuela's President Maduro. So I don't have all the details of this story fully as of yet, as the news is just breaking as I'm recording this. But I found it pretty interesting that the video that I had actually produced on Friday before any of this had come out was essentially predicting what has actually happened overnight. So I didn't expect it to happen within less than 24 hours of me recording this video, but there you go. And no, I'm not making any claims at all of being a prophet. I'm simply looking at the scriptures and examining those in the light of Bible prophecy, and I could kind of see where this whole thing was headed. I'm not much of a genius when it comes to that, but I did find it was pretty interesting that that the Lord was leading me in that direction to produce this video regarding what Trump has been doing in Venezuela. And then we find out here in the wee hours of the morning on Saturday, January the 3rd, 2026, that he had actually done what I had predicted was likely to happen there. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm always amazed at what the Lord does and how he leads me in certain directions. So just keep in mind as you listen to this video this weekend that everything is recorded after the introduction was actually recorded before the events in Venezuela transpired overnight. Well, God bless you, and here's the intro, and we'll get into it. Thank you for watching Matthew 24. Welcome back to the Matthew24 channel. I wanted to pop in with a short little video today to kick off 2026. If you have been paying any attention to the news at all in recent months, you know that Venezuela has been in the news a lot lately. The Trump administration began by attacking boats in the Caribbean originating in Venezuela that were allegedly transporting drugs destined for the United States. As of December 29, 2025, at least 107 people have been killed in 30 strikes on 31 vessels, including 11 vessels struck in the Caribbean Sea and another 20 in the Eastern Pacific. Of course, these unprovoked attacks have come under significant scrutiny since they began, prompting some legal experts to classify these attacks as illegal. The legal debate revolves around whether these attacks fall under laws of war or human rights law, with critics saying killing suspects outside a formal war, especially survivors, violates due process and the right to life, potentially amounting to murder or crimes against humanity. In addition to these boat attacks, the U.S. has also seized 2 Venezuelan-linked oil tankers carrying sanctioned crude oil. So not only is the Trump administration taking lives, it's taking foreign oil as well. But on Monday, these attacks moved from the open seas to land, as Trump said that the United States hit a dock in Venezuela where drugs were allegedly being loaded onto boats. Now, whether you agree with these actions or not, or see them as being legal or illegal, This recent escalation in warlike activity has many wondering if war between Venezuela and the United States is imminent. Politics aside, the question must be asked as to what is motivating these actions. Obviously, stopping illegal narcotics from entering our country on the surface is not a bad thing. I don't think anyone is disputing that. It's just the way in which we are going about it that is being questioned. But is all this killing really necessary in order to accomplish this goal? You can seize an entire oil tanker. Well, why not just seize these drug boats as well, rather than the apparent policy of shoot first and ask questions later? But with this recent escalation and making a land attack in Venezuela and targeting Venezuelan oil tankers for seizure, it appears the war against Venezuela may have already begun. Trump has made it known since before the election in November 2024 that he has his eyes set on expanding his American kingdom by making such statements as wanting to make Canada the 51st state, wanting to take over Greenland and the Panama Canal by force if necessary, and now apparently has designs on Venezuela as well. But why? Is this simply world politics, or is there something more prophetical at work here? Could it be that Trump, by initiating these attacks on the land and the sea, is attempting to lure Venezuela into a conflict? I think it's very possible that Trump has his eyes set on the pot of gold at the end of the Venezuelan rainbow. You see, Venezuela just happens to have the world's largest proven oil reserves, along with significant amounts of natural gas, coal, and other natural resources that could make the country quite a prize for the taking. By backing Venezuela's President Maduro into a corner and provoking an attack on the U.S. military, Trump would have all the justification he needs to declare war and send in the troops and take over the country in the name of the war on drugs, and in the process take control of Venezuela's massive oil reserves. After all, he's already seized 2 tankers. Why not go for the whole shebang? To the victor goes the spoils. Of course, Venezuela is no match militarily for the United States. Let's be honest. No country in the world can go toe-to-toe with the U.S. military, and Trump knows this all too well. I fully expect Trump to use the military to impose his will all around the world in the coming months and years. He is already doing so with his Christmas Day attack on Nigeria, and more recently his threats to take action against Iran. Trump has no issue with deploying the U.S. military anywhere in the world at any moment. Even though Trump speaks about being the president of peace out of one side of his mouth, his warlike tendencies appear to be in direct conflict with his desire for world peace. As Trump uses the military more frequently both at home and abroad to enforce his will and agenda, I believe what we are seeing will ultimately culminate in the fulfillment of the prophecy of Revelation 13:4. Who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it? I know that a lot of Christians are failing to recognize that Donald Trump meets all the criteria for the final end times Antichrist for a number of reasons. Some are just simply ignorant of what the Bible actually tells us to look out for when it comes to the Antichrist. Some insist that the Antichrist must be Muslim and come from Turkey or be gay or any number of other assumptions that have no biblical basis, while others who believe in a pre-tribulation rapture do not believe we will ever know who the Antichrist is because of the false belief that the church must be raptured from the earth before the man of lawlessness can be revealed. I've gone over this fallacy extensively in other videos, so I won't bother to go into it again here. But the primary reason most evangelicals in America don't recognize that the final end times Antichrist is right under their nose is simply because they support Donald Trump and approve of every evil action he is taking. After all, more than 80% of them voted for Trump all 3 times he ran for president. They are literally responsible for putting him in office to begin with. How ironic that the evangelical church in America would be so out of touch and out of sync with the true teachings of Christ, the Christ they claim to love and follow, that when the Antichrist finally showed up, not only did they fail to recognize him from the scriptures, but they couldn't wait to run to the voting booth and cast their vote for him. They believe that America is a special and blessed nation favored by God, and that the President of the United States could not possibly be the Antichrist, and certainly not Donald Trump, who, as one recent commenter on one of my posts put it, our great President Trump is one of God's elect, sealed and chosen. That's a quote. Well, the scriptures seem to have a much different opinion. Sadly, this one commenter reflects the views of the vast majority of the church in America today. The church is entering the most critical time in prophetical history and is asleep at the wheel. It reminds me of the famous quote, "We have met the enemy and he is us." Although there are some 45 indicators from the scriptures that Donald Trump is the perfect match for the final end times Antichrist, one of the primary reasons I have for seeing the likelihood that the Antichrist would hail from the United States is just simple logic. In order for the Antichrist to rise to power and dominate the world, he will need to have both the military might and economic power to be able to achieve this. For those who say the Antichrist must come from the Middle East, ask yourself what country in the Middle East has both the economic and military might to be able to control the entire world. The answer is none. Doesn't it make much more sense that the Antichrist would rise to power in the most powerful country in the world? And that country is the United States of America, who no longer has a president who has the patience to settle differences diplomatically. No, we now have a president whose goal is to dominate the globe and to impose his will upon any who dare get in his way. He is demonstrating on a daily basis his ability and willingness to do as he pleases and succeed. Take into consideration the following passage from the book of Daniel that are generally considered by most Bible scholars to be attributed to the future Antichrist. The king will do as he pleases. He will exalt and magnify himself above every god and will say unheard of things against the God of gods. He will be successful until the time of his wrath is completed. For what has been determined must take place. Trump has proven time and time again that he can and will do whatever he pleases, and no one is able to stop him. No laws or courts or judges can control him. His 90-plus indictments and convictions on 34 felony counts, 2 impeachments, and numerous civil suits that have gone against him have had little to no impact on him. He has no regard for the law. In his mind, he is the law, and the Supreme Court has granted him the immunity to literally do anything he wants without legal consequences as long as it is an official act, as the President of the United States. So he can literally claim in this sense that everything he does is legal. The Antichrist has many names in the Bible, but the one at the moment that seems to fit Donald Trump the best is found in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. The man of lawlessness. Some in the church at Thessalonica were saying that the day of the Lord, that's the second coming of Christ, had already come, prompting the Apostle Paul to write to the church in Thessalonica the following: "Don't let anyone deceive you in any way, for that day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the man doomed to destruction. He will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple and proclaims himself to be God. This prophecy makes two very important statements about the end times. Paul was making it quite clear that two things must precede Christ's return: a rebellion, that is, the great apostasy or falling away, and the man of lawlessness be revealed. My friends, as I have said in other videos, that day has come. We are not only witnessing the massive falling away of the church today, as they reject and refuse to follow the teachings of the true Christ in favor of the ways of their new false Savior and the false gospel of Christian nationalism, but we are watching the man of lawlessness himself growing in strength and power more each day. I mean, given his history and the historic inability of the legal system to take any sort of action of enforcement against him, is there any more appropriate description of Donald Trump than the man of lawlessness? I think not. The final end times Antichrist is alive and well, and he is here among us. Don't be deceived. We are living in the last days. 2026 is shaping up to be an interesting and, yes, very frightening year. But the good news is that Jesus is coming again. Praise God. As I say at the close of nearly all of my videos, these encouraging words from Luke 21:28. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift your heads, because your redemption draws nigh. God bless you, everyone, and I'll see you again very soon.